Or let's give Kristin a big hand. Welcome, Kristin. Beginning of the spring year, 2012. Welcome. This stuff goes on YouTube, which I know you've seen. Name? Debbie. You've seen my site?
Yes.
You've seen everyone on it. One day, you all be there too. Okay. Kristin, I'm interested. Proliferation of media. We have, what kind of cameras do you have?
I have a camera on my phone.
On your
I have
phone?
a camera on the, what's it called, the Sony CyberShot. But that's the only cameras I have.
And you have a webcam
yeah,
camera too, which you can make. Guys, you can make your final film on a webcam. I don't care. It's all about the heart, people. Kristin, plenty of. I was at the gym. I like seeing things on the gym because I set up like 4 screens in front of me. You know, the people with the tattoos on the back, you watch them too. And then the 4 screens above. A couple days ago, it had people forcibly pulling people out of Washington, D.C. Park, the cops. They shut it down, right? The Occupy. And I've been following Occupy, trying to support the Occupy whenever I can, because to me it's wonderful. It's a result of the Arab Spring. It's like people are tired of being couch potatoes and they're hitting the streets. You know, this is where democracy is tested, on the streets. Come up here, Sammy. Kristin, what is this proliferation of media plus these huge memory chips? I've got, in my bag I have like 4, 5, 8 gigabyte chips. Wow, this is like out of control. This is wonderful. What has this done to your life, and what do you think it's done to society?
You gotta think twice about what you do and how you act in public.
I
because now people can videotape that. And
but I think you're very circumspect. You always think about what you're going to do.
Yeah, I try to.
But that's in the negative. That's like, what if you say I'm darn angry, I'm not going to take any more. This to the man, you know, you're not promising. You promised me a future. You're not delivering. Is it a space of you say, oh, we better watch how we're being surveyed, and we're going to attempt a very interesting midterm project where actually faces. When we can do this with live faces, they don't have to wear masks. In this class, I might Xerox each of your faces in different cardboards, and we might trade them off with each other, and then that triggers other Chaz, huh? Don't that be all right? And you might be passing your face around the room so that someone gets triggered. I think this is amazing because the tropes, the metaphors, are the most amazing part. Sean, Ian, what about this generation of tropes? We've got all this memory. We're ready to go. I got one camera here. I've got another in my suit pocket all the time. One's black and white, one's color. Boom. Always throw it up on my Facebook, blah, blah, blah. What has this done to you in society?
I don't know, I guess everyone now is a little, I don't know, how I see it is just like, everyone's a little narcissistic. Like
yeah.
They're putting up what...
Everyone's a little fearful that they're always being surveyed, but there's also a strange sort of narcissism coming up.
Just like they think that everything, you know...
is about them.
Yeah.
It's about their image.
Yeah.
Including myself.
Like Facebook, like use a tool to brag about your life that happen to brag about it.
I write about this, so I was on I was one of the first 1 million people on Facebook. Like, I had to jump in, had to go in the forest, I had to see what it's about.
How do you know you was the first 1 million?
You knew that?
Well, if you go on timeline and scroll down, you can see when you joined Facebook.
Yeah, I was way back in 2004. I was. You guys were still wetting your pantses, I think.
I was 14.
Okay, I did the math. But it was a while ago, and I remember Friendster, and people go, "What, Friendster?" That was the first one, you know. And I think it's incredibly interesting psychology. What Ian said, psychology and anthropology. I think of it as a forest. It's a forest filled with pervy lurkers, right? Chaz laughs. Chaz, am I right?
You're correct.
People, Ian says narcissism. Let's just hear words that describe faces. I say, to Ian, I say pervy lurker. What do you say, Chaz? First word comes to your mind when I say social media, not even Facebook. What do you say?
Too many people.
Too many people. Name.
Karen.
Word. What? Freedom. I like it.
Isolationist.
Cool. Quick word. Don't think about it. Quick word. Stalker. I like that.
I don't know.
No, there's no I don't know at Stony Brook.
Like girls putting like pretty pictures of
Dudes, are they knockouts or are they not? Do these girls doctor themselves in Photoshop? Word.
complaints.
What?
Complaints.
Complaint. It's like a bitching place. Name.
Andrew. Duckface.
Duckface. Cool. I like it.
Deviation from homework.
Distraction. Kevin.
Fun.
Darren.
Time consuming.
It sucks time down. Quick.
Addiction?
What?
Addiction?
Addiction. It's OCD, man. It's got all the good things of like nicotine, right? Savannah.
Well, that's what I was going to say, but it's also annoying at the same time.
What's annoying about it?
It bothers me. With like this, like all the girls have to put
They
up
have to
pictures.
put party pictures up. Like,
They're having fun, no matter they're crying on the inside, laughing on the outside. Stuff like that. So are the boys with boys like. Name over there. Just a quick word. Let your subconscious go. Word. Archive. I like that. React.
In the face.
In the face. Who's behind me? Oh, dude. Social media. Word. Subconscious. What? Stressful. I like that. These are good keywords. I hope you're all writing it down. Did I get your word? Boring. Word. Money. Who else has made money on Facebook? No one. You have, by selling your bands. I have, man. As I said, I bought a whole car off of my clicks on Facebook. People thought I was an exhibitionist. I was like, ha, 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 king, cha-king, cha-king. Go right ahead, dudes. I feel a freedom because I don't have to rely on my beneficent superiors to do my marketing for me. You must feel that way for your band, too.
Yes.
Click, click, click. Okay, let's see who comes. You know, in the old days, you had to send it up to a constipated dinosaur, and they were like, I don't know about this. And they would adjudicate you. You don't know. You guys don't. We still have a lot of constipated dinosaurs here. But toothless, too. But they're like, well, hi, Mom. Not Mom. But Ian, what's the... I've been reading about the horizontality of culture. The Arab Spring touched off the horizontal revolution, right? Immediately they killed someone coming out of a web cafe because he was on Facebook. The cops did, and then suddenly, and Occupy was assiduously trying to set itself up as leaderless. Ian, help me with that concept. I like that concept that we don't have the next prick. You know, like the Who song, we don't get fooled again. You know what? The next Oedipal prick gets up there and says, I am your leader. It's like, no, you aren't. We're doing fine without you.
Yeah, everyone's just kind of a group, and they're their own leaders, I guess.
And I read a lot about, like, band promoters and things like that. Those guys are like pimps, right?
Yeah.
So it's... Hi, band promoters. It's basically you and your audience, right? Do you ever post free songs?
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. What kind of response do you get from that?
That's the best. Like, you're not really selling music nowadays. It's not about that. It's just branding yourself. So you give away your music, and well, it's all about shows and people.
Okay, the first book you're going to read, I love this book, which talks deeply about that, is, I like this book, Jaron Lanier's You Are Not a Gadget. It's on your reading list. This month, you have to read it. Look for it on Amazon. I told you what the book was. It addresses what Kevin is saying and what Sammy, this guy says, he's a musician too. He's the patriarch, father of virtual reality. But he says, oh God, it's beyond me how people are making money. And we're going to read the other book I'm finishing up now by this woman, Jane McGonigal, called Reality is Broken. This guy is a definite technophobe. He's a definite, like, neo-Luddite, which I dig him. He says, you know, technology's for nose pickers, you know, and he knows his code. He's a coder, and he says people should, you know, get in touch with the old-fashioned stuff. And this Jane McGonigal chick says, oh, but we should turn every single one of our activities, like this class should be a game. It should have a game structure. Name?
Mac.
Matt, what would be beneficial if I turn this into a game structure? Is it already a game, and what would be detracting?
Okay, beneficial. There'll be a winner, and I guess losers, mostly losers. If there's only going to be one winner.
That's how I structure, as Andrew and a couple of other people know, that's how I structure my game class outdoor thingy.
Oh, yeah,
I do.
remember that.
How soon you forget.
No, I remember. We still got the pictures.
Chaz won, right?
Of course.
Of course. You might say, Chaz, no, name.
Debbie.
Debbie, you might say, oh, but it's a game already, man. We're here, we're in the class, you're giving us deliverables, but you don't want so much wear and tear. We here, and this is one of my favorite game structures, it's called Prisoner's Dilemma. How many know that? Yeah, where there's two prisoners have to forge a union against the man or the bad cop coming down it. We say the university is the bad cop, professor, student, we're the prisoners. The more easy we make it on each other, the more we diss the bad cop. Debbie, is that the way society's structured already?
It seems like it.
How and why?
The government seems to have all the power, but it's
Government? I debate that.
not the government. The business people.
The
They're
1%.
the ones influencing the government.
Yeah, the government's a floating brothel to a large extent. I'm not anti-government because I'm always, as I'm not anti-union, I'm a unionist, therefore I'm extremely angry at the union abuses. That unions are made to help people without power. Laws are made to help people without power, but we know in this great country of ours, this is often abused. So this is, I think we should take back. Okay, so I'll throw this up to anyone because I'm following what Jane McGonigal said. Do you think we can put our government into an algorithm and just having it on a voting system online? Kevin?
Sure, why not?
How would that happen?
Well, I mean, you're obviously a fan of Foucault, and I think the main problem there is not necessarily government, but influence. So if you have people, they're going to be nonetheless influenced by the 1%, even without government, even with government. So what problem then crops out from that is how do you ensure that the people who are then in charge of themselves don't get swayed by people regardless.
And they're great books. Clay Shirky, I knew him at Yale. He's a famous dude about this. Who else? Kevin Anderson, James Sturwicki. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. What?
Postman?
Yeah, Neil Postman. Basically, it's calling the wisdom of the crowd. Right, these guys show again, and Lanier says these guys are nuts, because the crowd's a rabble, they're a bunch of peasants, they're always like the Heinrich Ibsen school of that solution is like the crowd is always wrong. That's what Ibsen said. Great Norwegian playwright, and some of you might naturally subscribe to that, but Andrew, if we have an algorithm, as Jane McGonigal advocates, and says, well, why don't we, she cited this site called Free Rice, right, that you can bid for like 40 grains of free rice in your quest, and that rice over millions of players accumulates, and they actually buy and send that to hungry people in places where they need this rice. And people were poo-pooing, it's 40 grains, that barely fits on a spoon, but somehow, and the business structure, Andrew, was mindshare, eyeballs. Advertisers did banner ads on the side of that to watch the people play, bougie people enough to play this rice game. It's called a serious game. It's not World of Warcraft. It's like a serious game, buying people food. You're being sold stuff. Your good play leads to people's ability to eat. Andrew, is this the future?
I never heard of that till just now, but I think that's a pretty good idea. So many people all day just kind of sit around doing stuff like Farmville or whatever on Facebook.
Oh my God!
This is like a nice.
And Farmville is just a way to do surveillance, right? Basically. Name again? Andrew.
But when it comes back to the prisoner dilemma, I think the resulting thesis is that people will always choose their own self-interest, which is why
the man always busts you. Right. It's called the what? The tragedy of the commons, right?
But at the same time, given that example you just gave at the game, people for the most part, they do their one good deed per year and they feel self-satisfied as long as they can retain some kind of positive outlook on themselves, I think that's enough for them, but that's never enough for what we actually have to accomplish.
Right. I'm in love with game theory because the more we quantify our lives, the more clicks we make, the more able can put it into an algorithm. You know, the more we can tab things up. And seeing a good film, you feel a gut impression about a good film. You say, there's no way I can quantify that gut impression of it. But one of my favorite, and of course it's like marriage or dating or whatever, the things we really think are serious, we try and defy a game structure to it. And often marriages and relationships can turn into prisoner's dilemma. Name? Devin. How and why?
Oh, well, you end up, the relationship itself becomes the bigger thing that you have to fight against, and then your partner or whoever you're in a relationship with just becomes your ally, and at that point the relationship itself dissolves because you begin to resent your relationship.
Because behind the bars of the prison, it starts to erode.
Exactly.
And then many theorists like Weber and Thorstein Veblen and these people say, that's what societies are made out of. Prisoner's dilemma. Picture it. So you say to your girlfriend, it's you and I against the world, baby. We're tight. We love each other, blah, blah, blah. You see her across campus holding hands with another guy. What do you feel? Pissed. And you approach her and say, what the heck was that about? She said, oh, it was nothing. It was just a little... I'm not sexist. This can happen to ladies, too. You don't understand. You're a brute. You don't understand. How would you dare question? And you say, man, the system got to us. You're moving on, aren't you? No, I'm with you. And then you say, finally, oh, come on, let's let down the facade and say what it really is. It's over, right? Boom, that's the prisoner. One of my favorite structures, it's kind of a mitigation of that prisoner's dilemma, is called the snowdrift. The snowdrift, two cars pull up to a snowdrift, you and your wife, your husband and you, your boyfriend and you, your girlfriend and you, pull up to a snowdrift. This is a great game because the prisoner's dilemma, Andrew, is missing what feature that we have in society? Communication, full disclosure. And write this keyword down, full disclosure. I'd love to see an essay on that from you guys. What is secret and what is revealed? Okay, here's the snowdrift game. Two cars pull up to a snowdrift. It's cold outside. It's you and your girlfriend, right? It's a metaphor for your relationship, right? And clearly, if you get married and have kids, it only ups the stakes, right? Because the kids could be the snowdrift themselves, right? That's how most marriages dissolve or whatever. You say, oh my God, we've been so selfish, we never accounted for a third person who's even more selfish than us. Okay, there you go. Two cars pull up, and this is a mitigation, and I'd like to see you vlog about this or even do a film this way on the snowdrift game. Okay, you and your girlfriend in the car. I'll just use that metaphor. You say hi to your girlfriend, she's over there, and she goes like, full disclosure, right? You can see in her car, she's nice and warm in the car, and she's going like this. Hey, dude, just get out and start shoveling the drift, okay? And you go like back to her. So there's this line of communication as a mitigation of the prisoner's dilemma where you don't know what the man is doing. The man is interviewing both of you and asking you to think on the other one. So there's this conceal that a lot of societies have. And it's interesting to note that Libya, Egypt, and now Syria's holding on, right? Assad is holding on, if you've been keeping up with that. So it's like, what's going on here? What's the disclosure? What's the level of media traveling through that country? What's the world opinion to that? It's a little bit of this snowdrift game going. Anyway, you go like this to your girlfriend and say, and it's a moral equation too. I love these equations. And you say, come on, why don't we both you're mouthing, she can't hear you. Why don't we both get out of our car and start shoveling the snow, which could be your relationship, your kids, your whatever is in your way, right? To you guys enjoying comfort and pleasure and whatever. And she still goes, you know, so it's a game where you can see if the other person gets out of the car, shovel, it could be a friend too. Friendship is like purely the snowdrift situation. I swear to you, you drop friends if they don't scratch your back after a while, right? Otherwise they're known as suckers, right? Or chumps. They're not friends, they're chumps. Or a lot of time we've been chumps to other people. That's pure snowdrift situation. You go to your friend, come on, let's get through this test. Let's go out for a beer this weekend. Let's do whatever, you know. Snowdrift game they all make these little matrices of like how many solutions happen through it. But the interesting thing to remember with snowdrift, it's almost full disclosure. We can see each other through the glass, unlike the prisoner's dilemma. I would love you guys to do an essay about this coming up. Write it down. Snowdrift game. You can Google it and apply it directly. Dudes, dudettes, maybe we're playing a game of snowdrift right here, professor and students. It's an interesting concept. So let's give Kristin a hand. We're about it. Sorry we didn't talk that much.
No.
I did most of the talking. And see you on YouTube.